Ideally, you would first edit photos in Camera Raw, especially if your photo is already in a RAW format. And you would do that before even bringing them into Photoshop. But let's act like you instead can't do that for some reason. And let's make some adjustments in Photoshop that are of the type of adjustment you might have made in Camera Raw originally. But let's say for some reason you weren't able to do that. So what I want you to do is get this image in Bridge 5, Photographer on Boardwalk, and I'm going to double click it. It's going to bring it into Photoshop. Okay, so this is a pretty good image, but you don't see any detail here in the steam. Sky is kind of dull. There's things we can do to really make this image pop, and I think you're going to like what we're about to do. We're going to add a levels adjustment layer. So you can come up here to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, Levels. Okay, you can also go down there to access adjustment layers. We're going to call this Overall because we're going to do 2 levels adjustment layers. Okay, so you see here a histogram comes up, and this is showing the dark, the grayish, and the white levels of our image. All right, so if it's down here, like here we have a little small area here, it's kind of light, even though that's in the darks. You can move your black point slider over here, and you see you're clipping everything to the left of that point slider. Okay, so they also call this in the film world crushing the blacks. It makes it look more filmic. It adds contrast. And so basically you are removing some of the detail, but in return you get some nice contrast. Okay, so you do see some of the detail underneath the boardwalk, some of the scrubby brush here. We're losing detail as we go darker. Another way to see how much you are clipping, how much you are basically blacking out on your image, is by holding down the Option key as you move this slider. Everything you're seeing there in terms of actual picture is getting clipped to black. So the photographer, is actually, and we might not be able to tell, but right now there's some detail here that there's almost a little bit of wrinkles there in his pants. You see he has a backpack, but that's getting clipped to black as you bring this over. Okay, but that's kind of nice because he's in silhouette. So you lose detail, but then you might like the silhouette aspect of that. Okay, same thing over here. This is the white point slider, and as you bring it over, you're going to be losing detail in your whites. Okay, this is being clipped to white, meaning any detail that was in this steam burst here is just becoming pure white. You're basically blowing out your whites, right? You're burning out the whites, some would say. And if you hold down Option key, you see, yes, indeed, it's mostly the steam that's getting affected here by the clipping of the whites. We're losing detail. You really see that there. There's basically very little detail in the sky. And so you don't want to clip that much, if at all. The middle slider is the gray slider. Okay, and you can also manipulate that, which also can add some contrast in the grayish or mid-tones is a better way to put it, because it could be the brownish areas as well. Okay, and so I think that's where I want that. Okay, but we're not done. Now let's say, okay, I want to do another adjustment layer, but this time just the sky. For that, I'm going to grab the polygonal lasso tool, which is nested in here with the lasso tools. So remember, you can just hold down that button and then you can grab the one you want. And I'm just going to click, and I'm going to go around him. It doesn't have to be super careful. I'm going to click and go around these people. I'm going to come along the outside of my image a little bit. Okay, now it's formed a dotted line here, or marching ants, some people call it. And I'm going to come down here now to the adjustment layer icon. I'm going to click, I'm going to hold that down, my mouse button, and I'm again going to choose levels. Okay, so this is just going to apply to the sky. You see the dotted line has disappeared, and that's because the adjustment layer has taken its place. You see the mask here now. It's revealing just the sky. It's hiding the rest of the image. Okay, and this is different from the other histogram because it's just showing the sky, the values in the sky. Okay, so watch what happens when I bring this down. You see, wow, it brings all that color in. Can even move this to here. And then you can even adjust that middle one. Look at that, that's even bringing in some yellow tones in there. Okay, white you probably don't want to do unless you want it to pop kind of in the middle there. Kind of otherworldly where the sun is bursting through there. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to back that up there. You can hold down Option key. See what you're doing there. Getting rid of the lighter areas, bringing them down. Okay, so that's pretty cool, right? Now, but you're probably already noticing, and by the way, you can put this properties panel back right where it was by hovering over that until it's blue. Wow, that line. The line where the where we grabbed the sky there, we made the lasso, it's very noticeable. Well, all you have to do with that then is come over to the masks portion of the panel here. Here's the properties panel. That's the levels adjustment layer toggle or icon. Come over to the masks side of it and we can feather that. Watch what happens when we feather it. Okay, that disappears. You're going to notice the feathers appearing here as well. And it nested in there by accident. That's okay. Okay, so you may want to bring that back a little bit. Okay, that's probably too much because the man, it's real obvious there. So I'm going to make some fine adjustments. Okay, I like that a lot. How about you? I'll bring the properties back to there. I'm just going to reset Essentials. So if this happens to you, don't be scared, and then you can double click to collapse that. Okay, so you see now we have two adjustment layers. One is just the sky. One is an overall adjustment layer. And you can always change that by going back into the properties panel here. Right, and like, whoa, that sky's a little too blue maybe. So you can bring that back. Keep that. You can always make changes. And then see the difference between the original photo and then with the two adjustment layers. Quite a difference. You can deselect that, by the way. Especially if you click onto something else. So you see the difference here. The original photo, kind of hazy, not a lot of contrast. By adding contrast, especially by creating two adjustment layers, we really made it pop with a variety of colors and darker and lighter values throughout this photo. Don't forget, we want to keep using adjustment layers that create these masks because they are non-destructive and you can always go back and change them at any time. They're much more powerful than using the destructive edits up here, which we want to avoid those direct edits to our pictures because they are destructive.